So I guess after talking about all of that, is Goldies deserving of the #1 spot on Texas Monthly? In my opinion. Hey, what's going on, guys? So on this video, we're going to be doing something that's a little bit special and one that I've been wanting to kind of make a video for a while. But today's video is going to be talking about Goldies. I feel like most people who follow me on this YouTube channel are pretty well educated in like the Texas barbecue. Every couple years, a magazine called Texas Monthly will put out a ranking of the top 50 barbecue places in the state of Texas. Obviously, it gets controversial just because everyone has favorites, and I say all the time on this channel that, you know, a lot of barbecue is just preference. But I'll say one place I definitely missed that should have been on the top 10 is 2M Smokehouse in San Antonio. Shout out to 2M and SO Wolf for all you guys who are putting in all that work and, in my opinion, didn't get recognition for it. So if you haven't been to 2M Smokehouse in San Antonio, make sure you put that on your list. But to get back on track, so what I want to talk about is kind of going through my entire kind of process of being at Goldies. When I first got there, I was coming down from Chicago. I probably got there around 9 o'clock, but I was talking to Lane and Jalen, all of them, as they were kind of getting set up, and probably got in line around 9:30 or so. There's just an atmosphere about the whole place where, you know, you're waiting in line with a bunch of other people, like I said, who are trying to get some great barbecue. They also had a cooler right outside the lines where they're giving out their own beer. The really cool thing about being at Goldies also is that you see almost all the guys who were there. So as we got into our line, I was joined by my buddy Russell. You know, Lane was cooking ribs and doing sausage and beef ribs that morning, so he joined us after his shift was over. He also grabbed a beer and just kind of hung out with us in line. And unfortunately, he had to leave a little bit early because he had to be up the next morning and do the same thing. You don't really get to see the overnight cook guys, you know, show up during a lunch service because they're probably already headed home. Next, we also saw Jalen, who was working that block that day. If you guys don't know him, he's always there with a big smile and cheerful, like all those guys are, making conversations and kind of like educating people. He also gave us one of those perfect side burn-on pieces. Even though it was just me and Russell, Lane said to hook us up with a tasting plate for 2. And they just gave us an ungodly amount of food. We saw Nupon and his brother as they were hooking up with sides and finishing us off at the register. And as we got to the table, we saw Johnny, and they told us that the person that usually works the pits is also kind of bussing tables with someone else. It was really cool just to be able to see all of them kind of interacting with the entire process. As we got our table and before we started eating, you know, the one thing that I really genuinely appreciate is the cutter on the block and just how they plate their food, and it just becomes something where maybe as a barbecue guy, you kind of get to see everything that they were doing the last 48 hours just to get to that point, and just to not fumble at the end and make sure everything looks as beautiful as possible. Before I moved to Austin, one thing that I would do on Instagram was I would search like Austin barbecue and see if I could tell where a tray of food was from based off of how they played their food. Because I think a lot of times you look at someone's tray and it looks very similar to someone else's, and it's not that place. And so when you're able to do it in a certain way where it shows like your character of your restaurant or how you plate things, I think it does a lot for the experience of the customer, but also is able to be recognizable from anyone who sees that picture. And I feel like that's also what happened at Goldies. Let's get the first thing out of the way, because the brisket, it was great. I would say that their brisket is some of the best I ever had, and it's not by like a big margin. I've had a lot of great brisket. When you're talking about something that's done really well, you know, you're really looking at the structure of the bark, you're looking at the tenderness of that lean, you're looking at the marbling of the point, you're looking at the bark formation, all those different things. And for me, you know, it just hit all those markers. So next, let's talk about the beef rib. The beef rib was great. I mean, it's very hard to mess up a beef rib. It's always gonna be good, but I do prefer a really crusty bark on it, and that it's cooked enough, because I feel like there are certain times where beef ribs are not undercooked, but just not done to the point where I would want it on a tray of barbecue. Okay, now we're getting to things that I feel like are setting them a little bit more apart from other places. So the next protein we're going to be talking about is the turkey. I am in the minority who doesn't enjoy smoked turkey breast as much as everyone else does. If turkey tasted like this everywhere else, I would understand. And Goldee's turkey is really, really good. I think it was probably just because it wasn't over seasoned. It tasted like turkey. It didn't just taste like a over pumped up, super salty protein that was slathered in butter. I feel like in most places when I have turkey, it's still plenty moist, but it can get a little bit grainy, and either it just tastes like brine or it tastes like butter. Next thing is ribs. Barbecue, like I said, is a lot of your own preferences, but I feel like a really, really good pork rib is one thing that kind of covers all grounds, where it's cooked just enough for those people who like to have a little tug on the bone, and also cooked enough for those people who enjoy ribs to fall off the bone. It's kind of that nice medium. The color on it was great. The ribs had enough sauce on there that I added some more sauce to the rib later on just because I wanted to taste it with it, but it really didn't need it. I like eating the rib tips, so like I said in my own rib video, I like to cook that cartilage just enough to where it's starting to get a little bit translucent so you can bite through it, but without having to eat around it. And that texture of the rib that I had there is exactly what I'm looking for. And I would say, you know, like I said with the turkey, there's probably only 2 places that I think are different or that stand out to me. And I would say in terms of ribs, there's probably maybe 3 or 4 places that stand out to me in ribs, and Goldee's is one of them. Last protein that we need to talk about, and my favorite of the entire tray, and that is the house sausage. And I was a little upset that I didn't get good enough footage of the sausage because I was so busy just enjoying it that I wish I could have gotten a video of me snapping the sausage, you know, close to the mic so you guys can hear it. Like, it is one of the best sausages I've ever had. It was smoky enough, it was snappy, it was super juicy. If I'm just talking about like house sausages, things that are kind of just bare minimal seasoning and just the essentials, and we're just talking about like getting the technique of making the perfect sausage right, there's probably maybe 5 or 6 places that I would say kind of fit in that category, and again, Goldee's is in that list. So overall, just in terms of the meats, like the smoked meats, what people are always going for, it was some of the best I've had. So now let's transition over to the sides and the dessert. Everything, in my opinion, was executed great. Like, I didn't find a fault in any of the sides. The beans are really good. The potato salad is also great. But, you know, I would say the standout sides for me, one was their grits, and they had, you know, fried jalapenos on top of there. I forgot what this side dish is called, but on their website it's pork hash. I think it was something like Kennedale stew or something like that, and it tasted basically like pork hash on rice, but it was a little bit more acidic, so I just felt like I could eat more of it, and it just felt super balanced in terms of like the super rich like pork gravy with a little bit of acidity. It kind of tasted like a hash that you would make with extra like Carolina vinegar sauce and on top of rice. And I thought it was really, really good. But to be honest with you, my favorite side that they had there was their slaw. Like, I just really enjoy a great slaw, like seasoned just enough, it's bright enough. I think the texture of the slaw also is something that I remember being really great. So I don't know, overall I just felt like I was eating the slaw more than any other side. Lastly, I want to talk about the dessert. And as I'm talking about dessert, I'm going to be also talking about the bread. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know that at Goldee's they bake their own bread as well, and the bread is great. It's delicious, and it's great as a fold over also. But my friend Russell that I went with, he kind of created his own thing. What's our hack?
Oh, as far as the what's our
Did you say your hack with the...
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said tag. We want a little bit of the crunchy topping too for that texture.
All right.
just, whoop, just spoon it on there, and then eat it like you would a fold over.
All right.
It's like a French pastry.
It is really good.
The banana pudding, also, again, some of the best I ever had. I don't really, I don't know what they're doing, but it's just really good. But taking that super custardy banana pudding and putting in that bread and eating it, it just felt like I was eating a, banana pudding filled donut or something like that. So after our meal, we went into the smokehouse with Johnny and we got to talk to him a little bit, kind of about our experience with the meal. And this is where we talked about kind of like their own curiosity in cooking and how they didn't want to do the same thing all the time. So Johnny goes into talking about certain things that they're going to change. One, because they want to do things better, but also because they're just kind of like, we don't want to do the same thing all the time. And I think their experience speaks for itself, where they, like I said, they know that even if they change something and it doesn't come out the best, it's still within this margin of being really, really good. And if it hits and it works, then it just brings it to another level.
All right, so we're just quick review of Goldies. Like I said, top 3 trays. But you want me to say the best. The brisket is brisket, but it's still very good. And you were talking about, I'm not going to say it on camera why, but you talked about different things that you're doing.
We do a lot of different stuff. I mean, honestly, the method we're using now will probably change in 3 months. I mean, I think when Daniel Vaughn was coming here and trying out the food, we did different stuff every single time, like every day.
Yeah.
When we're still only 2 years old, we're still experimenting with a lot of different techniques, like
right.
a lot of different stuff. So that's why you're saying, the ribs are the best.
I loved them. It was like, I think the perfect rib, it has like a vinaigrette on top from the fat and the sweetness from the sauce.
But you're saying
the
that
acid.
like the last time you had them, they were good.
They were still great.
This time,
this was just like
that's
next
we're,
level.
We're still trying to improve everything.
Yeah.
We are going to change it this week, where it's a different recipe. It doesn't have it won't have like the cure and the it'll be like a more fresh sausage. It won't be like cold smoked and have the cure and stuff like that. It'll be like fresh meat sausage, I guess. I think it'll be better. I think it'll have a different. It will taste a little different, but I think it'll taste fresher and a little bit better.
Is that your sausage smoker?
Yeah, this is what we're gonna change. I just had to build the grates. I'm gonna build. They're gonna be stand-up. They're gonna be stand-up grates that we're gonna build. Basically, what we're gonna do, we're gonna take it from the fridge on a tray and put it right here in a tray and smoke it.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be the easiest sausage process in Texas. So the briskets are filling up everything we have on the smoker. The beefers fill up the 500 gallon in the morning, so it's hard to find that time to put that sausage on. So we're kind of cooking it a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. We want to cook the whole day sausage as fresh as possible. Put it in the warmer and then serve the line as fast as we can.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So before I go into my verdict, I just want to give a huge shout out to the guys at Goldies. It is one of those barbecue experiences that I'm like, man, I can't wait to get back to again. You guys see me go to a lot of similar places. It's really about the people there, and I think that's what makes it special. And it's the same thing at Goldies. So to answer the ultimate question, is Goldies deserving of the #1 spot? I think yes. As I was sitting down there eating their food, I was just kind of in shock a lot of time. And I would say in terms of the entire experience of the tray of food and everything like that, I would say there's probably only 4 or 5, maybe 6 trays of food that I felt this same way about, where it's like, man, this is different. This is a cool experience. Even though you're eating similar foods the tray of food is essentially the same, but there are small little things that make it different, and that falls in Goldies definitely falls into that category of those few that I'm like, wow, this is really, really special, and it's something that I continuously think about. I'm just super, super grateful again that I'm able to go places like this and be able to know these guys and just to pick their brain, have them share their ideas and secrets with me. And there are certain things that, out of respect for certain places, that I'm not going to share. I feel like that's really reserved for those people who are willing to share that with me. And that's it. So as much as I want to give you guys everything that I know, I won't give you everything that I know because I respect a lot of these people who are doing their thing. I feel like this community has given a lot to people outside already, and I think we're going to continue to do so, but I do feel like there are certain things that I would love to be reserved for the people who are in that group as well. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked this video, make sure you like, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next one.